Welcome back. Exciting new episode today. So, interestingly, this does not stand like if it would stand normally, it would be like this, but it actually it's a little like almost goes. The back face. So we're going to talk about this shallogram right now, obviously. So I got another toothpick. Just we can see striations across here, down this way at a different angle though. Probably related to this bulge. It's like a spray point around it. Like a V shape potentially. But before we go getting too distracted, let's just go ahead and check it out. So what I find really interesting is many things. To the point, I've been looking at this for several days now, and I've come to the conclusion that I should probably record about it. Hopefully my lighting is good enough. It's really hard to capture this, especially in video. So I got this toothpick, so we're gonna use the toothpick. Interestingly here, once it focuses, come on baby, come on baby. Maybe do it this way. Better lighting for that side. Okay. So we can see a little like chunks in there that this is composed of. And then it's got a divide here. Like little strips. I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of hard to see. Instead of being more like this side, like right here, how this is, where it's smooth, it's almost like below the surface of that smoothness is this layering that's going on over here, so that's really interesting. And then inside here, there's all these little grooves, almost like it was getting etched and caught, like the etching caught inside the grooves, but didn't remove the material completely, to the point where it's not just like on the nucleus region, but it's also somewhere else. Like, I believe, where did I see it? Up here, right here, if I can get that lit up. It's so hard to do a video of this. We can kind of see it over there. Right there. You can definitely see little layers across this way, like up, down, at each of the things. This is so difficult. And then something else I noticed over here. So we got like a small lobe, like this big lobe here that I am blocking, like the lobe itself. And then within it is a smaller lobe, as shallograms tend to have. And then on the other side, this lobe is filled with like black shale. That's interestingly. It's a black material in there that's not typically filling in like that. And then this one over here. Before we get to that, this though has an opening right here. But from the first one here into this region where it's like void, almost like a current flow. It came out of the far tip, so like wrapped around both sides of this lobe, and then came out of an exit point to then go into that region where it like stripped materials out of there. You can definitely see it there somewhat before it went blurry. There we go, like right there. Into there, stripping materials out, and then probably shaping these layerings. Oh my god, okay. Now something I noticed since I got this that's really exciting actually is the ammonite shape on the side here. Like, comes out of the side, comes over here, and then it actually is not continuous across here. It's got this really flat face here, smooth, just like the bottom here. It's flat face, where this doesn't even go like straight across. It goes, seemingly it's missing a chunk of it, say, is what someone looking at this as a fossil would interpret, is it's missing a chunk of it. But then it's goes in even further, and even further, and then kind of just fades into the end here. Okay, we're going to talk about that though as we go. And on the top of it, this is why I really found this one so interesting, is this feature, which is pretty much a miniature ammonite in appearance inside of the shell of the ammonite. It makes no sense. And it's hard to see. I don't know if I can do it well. Like it actually is rounded. Like the way this has these mounds, mound here, it actually slopes like up down in like a bowl, like up down. So the side over here is higher than the inner portion here, which is lower than the outer portion here, because it has high, low, high, across, high, low, high. So it actually takes the shape of the shell itself of the ammonite, even though it's seemingly an ammonite. And if you notice, if we start all the way over here, right here is this trail that we can follow. It's hard to see, maybe. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see. So follow, and then follow, and then it goes over this way, right to it. So it's not just this structure, it's this structure and this tail that goes over here. And then this tail starts noticeably where this opening is, where like this one is kind of closed off. It's got material there. This one's kind of closed off, kind of closed off, kind of closed off. Like it's relatively sealed. So if there's a current flow wrapping atop this, like physically below the top here, but atop this portion and etching this surface by flowing atop it, it's especially flowing out of this one, but not so much out of the other ones. Enough to shape it, but still not enough to remove the top's material and like break the seal that formed here. did do it here. Like there just isn't material there. And if we go over further, there's like a little hole there. Little hole. They all have little holes because they are places where current is flowing. But really, it's mostly the far end and then this end after the weird ammonite structure within the ammonite shell, with some openings along the way. So if we can turn this way slowly, hopefully we don't lose vision. If you guys can see, it was working for a second. I saw it. These mounds. Mound. Like in the ends. Mound. And it basically fades away as it approaches here. So if there's a current coming especially out of this pore, out this way through this channel, and shoving material along the way, bringing material along the way, but because it has this like high current, it doesn't leave behind material here. Whereas the rest of these mounds are actually oddly, they stop here, around here, they start to fade away. I think they're not over here for sure. It looks like it stops right there. Let me make sure you guys can see. There we go. For a second it was there. I wish I had freaking infinite resources to do this to help the world understand. And so on, but I don't. So I got this crappy camera, and here we are. See you guys. Viewers just dropping. Peace out. This is stupid. I can't even fucking see. Oh my god, seriously. Just focus on that side. Okay. It just does not want to focus at that angle. Possibly it's just too close, but the point is, these pores are where this starts to go back to being the full size of the shell across the whole width, where before then it's got this weird missing segment, and then along the missing segment is mounds that are within each of these channels. Mound, just like a compilation of material. So my thought is a current is flowing along this surface back here, like this way, holding a resistance. So it's not actually allowing the full structure to form, and instead it's like preventing it along the surface, just flowing along the surface. And then when this current, the currents come out of the top, below the top, and atop the surface on this side, when they flow, they try to wrap around to the other side over here. But then there's a wall of material, of current that's holding the boundary. So as it brings, like, strips material from this region between them and shapes it, it physically deposits some of it along the very boundary here. And at the ends of the chamber paths here. You can kind of see it now for a moment. So that's really interesting that there is this ammonite thing within the shell that then has this connection across, as well as these mounds down here, as well as just the shape as a whole. It's not actually typical. And then if we go over here, so we got all these chambers, so this is like a cross-sectional view into the chambers. I don't know if we can get a better lighting for this. Unless I turn a flashlight on. If we can do this, how this will work. Okay, so we got a magnifying glass going. I can't, it's hard for me to point at things, so I'll just kind of show it for a moment. Turn off that light up there. Guess that works. Now we can really see those strips in that far side on the right side of the image. We can see all sorts of features in there. The black, dark color on the left side interior. Also, maybe we can see them now that I got this magnifying glass going. There's definitely around the boundary little teeth structures. I don't know if I can find them very easily. Maybe here, like up here somewhere. Maybe there. I'm not sure. Like right there, maybe. There's definitely some somewhere around that are like not in the structure of the ammonite itself, just kind of there. But so noticeably, the angle of these chambers, where the dendrite is, so if we look at the top, there's these dendrites. The dendrites are like sideways. Like the chamber, let me go off this for now. The chambers are going generally along this path. Like right there, we can see a boundary. Oops. Well, I can. The boundary between a chamber here and a chamber here, a chamber here, and a chamber over here. This one is fully blown out. It was the last one, seemingly, because we got the remaining material where like the dendrites are. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it, but anyway, before I move on, these things, which this little piece is a little loose, it's still lodged in there, but it's a little loose. They actually go along this length, up along the chamber, and then sideways, up along the chamber, sideways, up along the chamber, sideways. I thought that was interesting, how the chamber itself forms like a sideway motion in the dendrites. Okay, let's go back to this real quick. Notice some dendrites in there as well. We got like the down there by my finger within. So cool. Also, there's another like splotch here that's kind of like that one, just more splotchy and not complete looking. Almost like it was doing the same thing, just didn't do it. Maybe because it was too close to the boundary where current could like vent away from that system to elsewhere. Something of that nature, I don't know. Or vice versa, where the current from the boundary was like pushing atop that and like erasing its effect more. Here's the top. This is just the sheer shape of it is interesting. So if I hold this straight at this angle, I guess imagine it at that angle, but we'll do it this way. Like here, here. Even right here is a little protrusion. It's not as sharp as this one, but it's still like I got a little bit more. Can really see the detail there. It's hard to see, but there's like wrapping around the top. Little etchings going around it. So no. Turn that over one-handed. Let's check out its details. This is what I'm doing like all day long. Something I'll pick up this other shallograms and just turn this thing on and look at it closely. I don't know if we can use this one. Let's see if we can get a functional image out of this one at all. Too bright. Maybe put it atop that. Okay, that one's no good. Also, it doesn't shine like it's shining. I don't know. In the camera, I've not seen it like that. Let's check it out this way. That's so cool. It doesn't look like that in person. I mean, the light is shining on it, but it looks almost like it's glowing. Wow. It's a UV light in there. Oops. Oh my god, sorry buddy. I'm such a terrible person. Poor shallograms. Dealing with my treasonous self or whatever. I said don't buy and sell. Tried to warn you. Trying to think now that I'm doing this. Let's see. What else? Also, when I hold it like this, it makes me just feel like it's a sandwich. I just want to bite it. It's a burger. I guess if I look at it directly and stop looking at the camera results, maybe I'll find some other stuff. Or I can just set this one down and say, okay, so that's that one. this one, I've concluded it broke. Like right here, and it actually broke some of it, but it physically had like a actual continuation of this structure all the way around that's just gone, and like had a hollow space inside enough where it was weak, and either it broke since someone found it, or it just like was tumbled in the river or something and broke. Something made it so that this segment here is just missing. But if we really interestingly, like unlike any other I've seen, it's just got this blob. This blob for sure. Let's check it out like this. You can kind of see it up there. There's like a shell goldish material in color underneath the like dirt almost. It almost looks like a more muddy substance that didn't actually get removed completely, that just made up this innards, and it didn't get shaped enough to become like firm and just like more pronounced shallogram like features. Is more just like a blob in there, but it still has like the nucleus. It's got the full-blown shell. Oops. Lots of cool features. Also over here, notice how straight this is right here where my finger is. Like it's not uniform. The angles up here are not uniform. And this spot here on the rock itself, this rounded spot, this spot. I wonder. So if we flip it, notice it's got this boundary here that goes around this way. Let me get the toothpick. Maybe just use this without the magnifying glass for now. We've got a little thingamajig here going around. Another one maybe here. And then around here with a space, like a channel. So there's a channel here, channel here, channel here, and then like a chamber, a chamber, a chamber, a chamber type structure all around this. So it's forming very interesting subtleties in the structure of the rock that are not always there, not always present. And then also that's kind of one of those up here too. And then, I was hiding it until now, the other opening, unlike any other I've seen, except like one other, we can see into the other side of this. So it's like a current floating this side. If you look around the edges, it's literally wrapped with etchings of the current flow. Such a cool, like, golden looking color in this one. Just so distinct. The current flowed in this side and then flowed around and etched, and seemingly maybe weakened this side. Like it almost went through here, bent the rock, like a current flowed into the rock and bent it. So if we look at it like this, flowed in here, pressure was applied. Here's like the center of the opening is pretty much right there. So, like, just like it is on the screen, it's pretty much perfectly at the point where it bends in the most. So current flowed in, applied a pressure that shaped the rock itself to have this, like, fold in it. And then it just flowed through, like, pores and shaped this side in, like, a spraying way, where it flowed out and around, out this way and back and around, and did the ammonite shape by this current that was flowing in this side and then flowed out the other side through the rock, which is not normal. Usually, like, the structure is forming on one side and not blowing out the other side in an obvious way. Or an apparent way, maybe not obvious, but apparent, visible way, where there's two openings. Although this one, like I said, is probably broken open, which is why it's so like this. Like this, initially I was like, what in the, why would it be like this? Like, why wouldn't it have less weird straight angles like this? And it occurred to me recently that it broke, because a part of it broke inside here that is no longer there. I was like, oh, this in shipping, it broke. But that brought to my attention that this structure in general is relatively weak. So it probably just snapped this after it formed, after it solidified enough that it could snap and break. Like before it solidified in the process of current flows that were etching the surface of this stone, shaping it, bringing the materials together, flowing them through it, and then also this current coming in that way. Before that all solidified into a rock that was like firm, it had malleability like this. Like this happens because of the malleability of the rock at the time when the pressure is being applied onto this face. But later on, pressure was applied here, just like boom. Like say it was tumbling and hit the ground, and pressure goes in here instead of just like folding it, which does happen sometimes in these structures. Maybe I can bring up an example real quick. I don't know. Let's see. Add source. Screen capture. Or no, not screen capture. Add source. Window capture. Window. Photo. Didn't do it. Okay, I'll just do this then. Like this one. Okay. So it could have folded like that, which it does over on this side. Oops, I gotta make sure I can see what is happening. Folds over here, but it just smashes this side, and that I believe is why it broke so sharply like it did. But also this region is more protected by this face, so it didn't break off there. It just broke like if you were to push here, maybe even. Like it could have snapped off a part, but then the rest is held more firmly in place, so it just snapped in certain locations. Some subtlety there. just in terms of the layering, in a similar way to this side, the layering there. Like, we can really see chambers starting to form on this side some reason. Also, this crack. If we follow it, it goes to here. To here. Which maybe is why, like, there's a weak point, like, beyond it over this way. Right here. Hard to see, it's right there. So maybe, like, imagine that way. Or that way, I'm not sure. Maybe both, actually. It seems fitting to both, even here, that way, and that way, which is the actual angle. Like, it's actually pointing more that way. That goes straight across, though. Across here. Starting really more so at this chamber, like it's not visible over here, really. So it starts at this chamber, this big chamber, and then continues this way. Seemingly has a relationship to what's going on across there. Inside here is so cool. It's just so cool. There's little broken dendrites on the top and bottom there. Closer, like not all the way in the back, but closer. A divided nucleus almost. Just interesting features. I'm not sure what to say exactly. It's hard to tell. Like, the color in there is incredible. It's so perfectly composed of the material. Let's see if I can get a flashlight. Maybe helping too. All sorts of ways. Best I can do with the flashlight, I guess. It's kind of hard. And the camera needs to be looking in on it to get a light that's also looking in on it without having the right components. Pretty cool. Also, where this chamber ends, if you notice, is where the like dark black shale of the ammonite structure turns into more of like the lighter. Like it's way more it's got more like smooth shale layering on the last couple chambers on this over here. These few are not like these. Where this is, up to this boundary, almost like this material is right there. Like it's physically right there and got stripped away here and drawn down that way for some reason. And we see another crack here. Not crack so much, just like a structure right here. It pretty much goes to this corner. Whew. Oh my god. Sorry if this was like terribly hard to see what's going on. Okay, one more little gander at this guy. So that's what we got. You can really see those layerings on the right side. It's so cool how it did that. I mean, to me, that's like, what are we talking about? This ain't no fossilization process. Can't do that. It formed like an internal structure of the material that filled the chambers. No. Like it wouldn't form layers like it did there. Folded layers. Plus a perfect divide down the middle, forming in those layers. I was hoping we could find an ammonite in this side, like some chakras. I was hoping we could find some chakras. Maybe there's some chakras. But at that point, it's very hard to tell. Oops. That they're chakras versus just like a bump. Nothing's so distinguishable. It's like shalogram, ammonite shape right there. Also, I don't know if you guys can see those little like things in there, right there. Right there. Little like tendrils in that one. Pretty interesting. Notice the rock on this one is this is hard. Right here, this is hard. Like I can safely go like this. This I do not want to touch. It's very brittle. Like if I just go like this and just put my finger on it and lift my finger off, like there's actual specks, like it comes off, so it's not actually very stable, this material, but this I can touch this and it's not on my finger. It's not like it's coming off. I touch this, it's gonna have a couple little flakes on it, which is interesting. I'd like to see those flakes under a microscope, like not just a magnifying glass, but a microscope. This right here, the way those little pores are formed in the material. Oh my god, look at that row of them going back in about in the middle there, not in the nucleus itself, but to the left of it. On the top of this face, right near my finger at that point. Like a row of them. That's so cool. You can see them all there too. Like that's from a current that pushed up a surface and got in, but didn't actually remove the material, and didn't, like, it maybe created a pore through, but maybe not, like just tried to create a pore almost, like it's attempting to etch its way through something, and in so doing it's creating these mounds that we see, as well as these in the nucleus showing that like the current is pushing into it and catching onto it at intervals to create these like regular little nooks. like right there. Right next to it there. 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 Also, let's see if I can see this way. See back in the like interior segment, it's pretty cool back there. Where the black side is. Got some like dendritic looking thing going off it. But then we see those pores all down there. Like right near the very bottom of it. Right near like there. Right there, those two pores. Some more in there. Bunch of them. Bunch of them. Distinguishably current etched. Okay guys, before this file is over too many gigabytes, I gotta go. Peace out. Thanks for watching. See ya.